The first exercise that I'm demonstrating is lunge with overhead side reach, and this can sometimes be a little challenging for youth athletes, so it's perfectly fine to just do a standard walking lunge if they can't handle the balance part of this. But things to look out for are, like I just said, the balance part. You want to make sure they have control, and that applies to all these dynamic movements, is that the individual or the athlete should always have control of what they're doing. So it's essentially you're just taking a step like a typical lunge, 90-degree in both knees, and having that back knee just about 1 to 2 inches above the ground, reaching over and bending the torso laterally, and then you return to the erect torso position and then go into the next step. You want to make sure there's no stutter step in between. The next exercise that I'm going to be demonstrating is a walking knee lift, so you want to be nice and tall during this, and again have control and balance of the movement. So your feet should be parallel and shoulder width apart. As you step forward, you will lift one of your legs up, basically up to your chest, and you want to make sure that you're dorsiflexing that foot that's up, and then you pause, put that leg that's up down, step forward, and repeat with the other one. The next movement is a walking quad pull, so pretty much the same rules as the last one about being balanced and upright, but something that I also like to focus on is making sure that they are not all over the place and open with their hips. So with like younger kids, I'll tell them, oh, you don't want to look like the dog peeing on the fire hydrant with your leg all crazy. You want to make sure everything is nice and straight and neutral, just like it is here. The next movement is a straight leg march, so you want to be nice and tall. Both arms will be out in front of you like this, and then you will rise up onto your toe, which I just realized I did not do in this video. But you're going to rise up onto the toe for the leg that's on the ground, and the other leg will be straight and will raise up towards your hands with as much range of motion as you are possible. And then when you reach the highest point, you'll actively pull that leg back down to the start position, maintain your nice, tall, standing posture, and then repeat alternating legs as you go forward. The next stretch that I'm demonstrating is an inverted hamstring stretch. So to start this, I'm going to stand tall, take a small step forward, bending at the waist and reaching towards the ground. I just realized that I demonstrated this with both hands going towards the ground when the book demonstrates it with the opposite arm going down towards the opposite leg, and then the other hand is straight out in front of you. But regardless of that, you want to make sure that you're keeping the hips square, you're keeping and maintaining good balance, and you want to go down until you feel a stretch in the hamstrings. And you want to make sure that you don't break the form, meaning you don't want a really rounded back here. You want to be nice and parallel, just like here in this screenshot. And then you return by actively using the hamstrings and glutes of the leg that's planted, and then you repeat it with the other leg. So here I am demonstrating what not to do with your hips. You want to make sure they don't look like this. See how they're opened up and there's a lack of balance here. So watch out for the hips opening up like that, and then also watch out for like the arch caving in and are causing the knee to cave in. So those are a couple of things you don't want to see. The next exercise is a heel to toe walk, which you don't want to be looking down like I am. I don't know what I'm doing in this video, but basically just focus on the feet here. You should be standing tall with your feet parallel to each other and shoulder width apart. You take a small step forward with the heel hitting the ground first, and then you continue into dorsiflexion of the foot, and then after that you're basically rolling that forward and rising up as high as you can on the ball of that foot, and then you do it with the other foot and you repeat. But this is something that younger kids like don't quite grasp the concept very well, and they kind of just are walking. So you could always do the calf sweep, which is similar to this, and they tend to understand that exercise a little bit better with the cues of like pushing their heel into the ground and sweeping the sand up or whatever and keeping their toe up. So something to keep in mind. The next exercise I'm going to demonstrate is essentially the walking over and under the hurdle without a hurdle, but it's a little bit more of just an adductor groin stretch along with a side lunge. So again, you're kind of shifting your weight down into the side, down into the side. You want to make sure that you're nice and tall and that your feet are parallel to each other and a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. So again, this should be controlled. There shouldn't be an excess amount of swaying of the torso or anything like that. You want to make sure that you're feeling the stretch, like I said, in the hips and in the groin, so keep that in mind. The next movement is a forward lunge with elbow to instep. So this is another exercise that can sometimes be a little challenging for younger athletes, but if they can do it, that's great. So you want to make sure you step forward, allowing the hip and the knee to slowly flex, and then you're basically going from a lunge into the back leg being straight, and then you're bringing that elbow down to the same knee that's forward, just like it is here. You want to maintain a nice flat back, not overly rounded. And then as you go to the next step and return to your erect torso position, you want to make sure that there's no stutter stepping in between. The next moves are high knees followed by butt kicks. So you just want to make sure when working with younger athletes, this is a good time to work on just the coordination between their arms and their legs working together, because they have a tendency to not use their arms at all during this. So this is a good way to incorporate the arm swing portion of running mechanics into like a simple, short movement. All right, next is skipping. So I obviously couldn't skip without hitting my head into the ceiling fan, so I'm trying to demonstrate a slow motion skip. So just make sure, again, that the coordination between the arms and the legs is correct. The knees driving up, the arms are pumping. And this would be for height and for distance. Next, I'm going to be demonstrating arm hugs, trunk twist, and then bent trunk twist. So these would actually be done before the high knee, butt kick, and skipping, but they got out of order in the video. But anyway, so again, just nice and control here, just getting a little bit of movement and the rotational aspect, since baseball is a very rotational sport. Final movement that I'm going to be showing is shuffling, which translates great to baseball. So you want to make sure that you have good shuffling form, so you're in a nice athletic stance, and that your feet are not coming together and you're not standing up while you're shuffling. And make sure you do this both directions, of course. And yeah, so that's the final move that I'm going to be showing, and the rest of the exercises and everything is written out in a chart that's included in the written portion of my discussion post.